Hey guys, Trin here, and welcome back to my weekly recap and review of Only Friends Dream On. We are going to do a complete dive into episode 3 today. So, if you're interested in any way, shape, or form in a recap of Only Friends Dream On episode 3, a review with thoughts, feelings, and predictions, then let's jump right into it. So, you know the drill. I first do a recap of the episode, then we have the thoughts, feelings, and predictions section. Also, like a recap of my thoughts, feelings, and predictions last time as well. So, the episode starts out like the way that episode 2 started out, where we had a before clip. So this, what you're looking at right now, is from a year ago. So this is Tua and Dean attending a party. This is back when Jack and Dean were together. So I'm pretty sure Dean wants to set Tua up with Boston. And so Dean and Tua come to this party and meet up with Jack and Boston because Jack and Boston are mates. So Jack and Boston are already there, and then Dean and Tua come. Jack waves them over like, "Hey, we're over here," and because Dean really wants to set Tua up with Boston. Jack and Dean, I think they go off to get drinks, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, it leaves Boston and Tua alone, where they're dancing, they share a drink together and things like that. And Boston's like, "Hey, like, do you want to go? We know we can go somewhere more private and things like that." And I think Tua is definitely feeling it. I'm pretty sure that this is the moment that was discussed in episode 2, because if we remember from episode 2, where Tua and Arnold were having that conversation of like, "Oh my god, like, what was your first kiss story? What was your first kiss?" And Tua was like, "Oh, just, some asshole. It was like a year ago." I think this was it. But what Tua didn't mention to Arnold was that Boston was also his first time. He wasn't just his first kiss, he was also his first time, which you will see once I get to the next, screen grab. This is the next screen grab. Clearly, you can see it's like afterglow or pillow talk. Basically, they just did it. Pretty clear as day, they've just done it. And now they're just like, they're chilling out and stuff. And Boston, being true Boston self, takes out a camera and wants to take a photo of Tua, because if we know what Boston was like in season 1, he really liked taking photos, like really enjoyed taking photos of the people that he slept with. He's a regular photographer as well, as we will find out later in the episode, but I think just more of like a self thing. He likes taking photos of the people he sleeps with. In this episode though, because Tua's like, "Oh, do you take photos of everybody?" And he's like, "Not everybody, but I want to take a photo with you because I think that you're special." And I don't remember if that was exactly how he felt in season 1, but it's been a while since I've watched season 1 because Boston's a carryover character from season 1. Anyways, this is like a pillow talk, afterglow sort of vibes. Then we have title credits. So, Boston is a proper photographer as well. This is why Jack has asked him to help out with the play. So, Boston is going to be taking official photos, behind the scenes photos. He's basically going to be the photographer trying to capture every single moment throughout the play. So, in this, what you can see is that he's taking individual shots and he's also taking group shots and things like that. It's like a photo shoot that Jack wants to have for the play, and Boston is the one taking all the photos. But like, he's taking a photo of everyone, including Pete, who is like an accountant. I'm unsure why you need an accountant for a university play. I still don't know how that makes sense. But anyway, everyone, you can see literally everyone is in this picture. So the first couple of scenes kind of switch back and forth. So you have Boston taking pictures, and then you have Tua when he's not being required to have his photo taken. I think in a separate room. Not I think it is. They're in a separate room. Anyways, Tua is the costume designer for the play, so he's getting everybody dressed for these pictures. So it's kind of switching between like Tua doing his thing and then Boston doing his thing. So Tua and Dean are chatting while Tua is helping Dean to get dressed for the next photos that he has to take. And they're kind of just chatting. Dean's all like, because I think Dean knows about Boston. There is no way that he doesn't know about Boston because of that facial expression when Boston showed up at that party last episode. Like, there's no way. Like, Dean and Tua, they have a friendship, they have a bond. Like, they've definitely said some things. And so Dean is just asking Tua, like, hey, are you okay with Boston being here? Like, he was your first and all. Like, how you doing? And Tua replies, he's just like, oh, you don't have to rub it in. You did take me to meet him that night. And then Dean's like, you're saying it was my fault. Like, yeah, mate, I introduced you. But you left with him of your own free will. You didn't have to go home with him that night. That was your choice. But then Dean proceeds to also say that, hey, the best way to get over someone is to get with someone new. And oh, look, here is your someone new coming into the room now, because the next person who walks into the room is Arnold. So Tua is helping Arnold get dressed for his photo, because the next group of photos is the main actors. So that picture I showed you with the entire cast, or everyone, so the actors, the sound guy, the director, the costume designer, literally even the accountant, the producer, everybody. The next set of photos is going to be actors only. Tua wants to talk about the kiss from last episode. Tua and Arnold, they kissed last episode. Tua has a massive crush on Arnold. Surely we all know this by now. So Tua wants to talk about the kiss. Now, I think they want to talk about the kiss for different reasons, because I think Tua is on the verge of possibly going to confess, but Arnold doesn't let him. But I think that Arnold doesn't know what Tua wants to say, because I think that Tua kind of wants to confess. I think, well, maybe not confess, but it's definitely different. I think Arnold's worried that Tua did something that Arnold didn't like, and hey, Tua could be thinking that, but he's also hoping that obviously Arnold enjoyed the kiss back. But Arnold is like, nah, it's fine, don't worry about it. You were drunk, I was drunk, oh, it's fine. So it again gives Tua mixed feelings, because he's not offended, but he didn't necessarily say that he loved it either. It was just oh, don't stress, I'm not mad at you. You were drunk, I was drunk, oh my god. Let's just blame it on the alcohol and move on. Raffi and Dean back at it again. So Raffi and Dean are preparing themselves to have their photos taken, kind of, not really. They're poking jabs at each other. Dean being all, oh, you managed to sneak your way into the project. And Raffi's like, oh, well, what can I say? Jack asked me. And then Dean's like, Jack could have so just felt sorry for you. And then Raffi, oh, I love Raffi, let's be real. I mean, I love Dean too. I don't know which one I love more. Anyways, Raffi's like, at least it was better than sleeping your way into the role. I love how everybody just knows that now. I mean, maybe not, because actually, how do people know that? Anyways, they have their photos taken and we're back in this same room again. This scene is very short and I don't even know if it adds much to the plot other than to show that Raffi and Pete are mates. I think Raffi's hoping that Pete will stay and they can have lunch together, but Pete goes, nah, I need to go open up an account for the play, so I'm gonna dip, sorry, not staying. Rome was sitting in that red chair and was overhearing the entire conversation, whether he wanted to or not. Not saying that he was purposefully listening, but he was sitting there. So whether he wanted to or not, he heard that conversation. Anyways, there are these boxes. So someone bought lunch for the crew. I don't know who, that's not important. Anyways, Raffi is freaking out because they've all got seafood in them. And Rome notices and is like, hey, you can't eat this food. What's going on? And Raffi's like, yeah, I'm allergic to seafood. And all of this has seafood in it, so I can't eat. Like, I'm just gonna go get food from somewhere else. And Rome's like, no, 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 don't do that, because then they're gonna think that you're like picky and that you don't want the food. Like, you're like weirdly gonna offend them. But like, I get it because you're allergic to seafood, so you can have mine because mine's chicken. You can eat chicken, yeah? And Ruffy's like, yes, I can eat chicken. So he takes the food. A little reluctantly, he's like, I'm not about to just take your food. But then Ruffy's like, but then Rome's like, but you literally can't have the seafood one, so just take mine. Don't be stupid. We move to a second location where Rome and Raffi are having lunch together. They're on some stairwell, and you can clearly see that Raffi is enjoying Rome's meal. Now, Rome is still trying to make a move on Raffi, because if we remember in episode 2, Rome and Raffi could be seen swimming at the same pool together. So Rome's like, hey, do you want to go swimming later? I'd like to work out. Do you want to come with me? And Raffi's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'll see how I feel after the shoot. And Rome's like, don't worry. Our little 2-night stand will stay between us. Like, stop stressing. So yeah, Raffi is still like, we'll see. Dean is outside having a smoke. Honestly, I feel like as much as we should be having maybe a kiss counter on the show, we should also be having a smoke counter, because there has been quite a bit of smoking on this show. Anyway, Dean is having a smoke. Sorry, Jack is having a smoke. Did I say Dean this whole time? Jack is having a smoke. But Dean comes out because he needs to chat with Jack about why, on God's green earth, have you asked Boston to be a part of this project? Jack, I don't think, knows about Boston and Tua's past. Scratch that. I think I just believe that he doesn't know about Boston and Tua's past, because Dean tells Jack and says, hey, do you know that Boston nailed and bailed on Tua? And Dean's like, wait, for real? For real? And Dean's like, yes, for real, that actually happened. And Dean's like, you're going to tell Boston that he can fuck off, yes? Like, so, you know, because Tua is our friend. But the issue is that Boston and Jack are still mates. And so, as much as maybe Jack would like to tell Boston to go away because he's friends with Tua as well, but it's like, hey, but I gave Boston my word. I said that he could basically take behind the scenes shots and stuff until the project's ended. I've given him my word. Like, I can't just tell him to fuck off. And Dean's like, oh my God. But then Jack's like, well, what if we like compromise? Like, I'll keep my eye out on Boston and make sure that he doesn't do anything weird. And then you keep an eye out for Tua and make sure that he's okay. Then, just to be cheeky, Dean also mentions to Jack that he's going to come to his house later. And Jack's like, why? And Dean's like, yeah, when we had sex that night, I left my wallet at your place, so I want to come get my wallet. And Jack is at first like, well, I'll just get your wallet and give it to you. And Dean's just like, no, 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 no. I'm coming to your house and get my wallet. We go back down to that costume room one last time because Tua and Boston. So Tua is putting stuff away, you know, doing his thing. And Boston comes into the room and is like, are you still mad about before? And Tua's like, no. And Boston's like, but like, is it still on your mind? You may not be mad, but like, you know, you still think about it. And Tua's like, I mean, I guess. Boston's like, you know, why can't the past just be the past? Tua is basically like, you know, why are you here? What are you doing? And Boston, I think he wants him back. He's like, I'm courting you. Like, look at the screen grab with the hand on the wall right near his face. For some reason, unbeknownst to me yet, I think we're going to have to watch some more and figure this out, because I don't know what Boston's angle is just yet. I'm very curious about it. Anyways, for some reason, Boston wants Tua back, and I do not know why, but for some reason he just does. And it's like creepy, because Boston is Boston, and I don't know what this means. But also, Boston tries to be cocky about it because he's like, you never forget your first, especially when you set the bar so high. And Tua just goes, ew, who said you set the bar high? So, Rome and Raffi did go to the pool together. Raffi finally decided that yes, he would go to the pool with Rome. Anyways, they bump into, I think, one of Rome's friends, or maybe just more so acquaintances. His name is Bass, and they're having a chat because Bass is like, "Hey, Rome, haven't seen you in a while. Like, miss you, bro." And Rome's like, "Yeah, I know, but it's like my fourth and final year. Workload's been heavy, like I haven't had as much free time." But then Bass is like, "He's still coming tonight, right? They especially requested for you." And Rome's like, "Yeah, no, I'm coming tonight. Like, don't worry, I am coming tonight, don't stress." And Bass is like, "You know your other friends are welcome as well, right?" What was his name again? Oh yeah, James Dean, bring him along. And it makes Rome go a little quiet because Rome's like, "Oh yeah, no, like being quite blasé, James Dean doesn't do that anymore or whatever." And then Bass walks away. Now, Raffi is very intrigued by that conversation. Very intrigued. Now, this is the infamous pool scene, which everyone saw in the trailer. Yes, I saw it too. With Raffi having his hands down Rome's pants, giving him a little handy in the pool. So, while the handy is in action, they're having a conversation. But let's be real, Rome's not really concentrating on this conversation because he's receiving a handy and, his mind is just focused on that. But anyways, so Raffi is like, "Hey, so are you a host or something? Like, what was that all about?" And Rome's like, "Nah, like, it's not like that. Like, I just DJ at rich asshole parties, like, because he is a DJ." And so Ruffy's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right." Um, Now this was my theory as well, which usually I would wait for the theory section of this video, but I think I am going to explain it now. Because while I think Raffi was having this revelation, I was also having this revelation. James Dean. I think that might be Dean, like as in the character that Mix plays. I'm pretty sure that James Dean is Dean. Obviously, we don't know that for sure just yet, but that is my theory, and I think that is also what Raffi is thinking. Like, I had so many revelations in this scene alone while the handy was happening. So, Raffi is like, "So, hey, can I come to this party tonight?" And Rome's like, "Nah, like, it's work, like, you can't come." The handy stops. He takes his hands away. And Rome's like, "Bro, like, whoa, what the fuck?" And Raffi's basically like, "If you want me to continue, you're gonna let me come to this party tonight." And Rome's like, "You know what? I shouldn't," because obviously he said no before, but I think he's very like, "Yeah, but I was in the middle of a handy that I was really enjoying. All right, you can come tonight." And so Raffi gets back to it, and they have their fun. And oh, I know why Raffi wants to go to this party tonight. Again, so many revelations in this scene because I think that he knows exactly who James Dean is, and I think he wants to use it in his petty little pettiness fight that he's got going on with Dean at the moment. Arnold once again offering to take Tua home on the back of his motorcycle, and they only just make it back before rain starts. Now, again, with my "I think that Tua is rich" here is proof. This is a room that Tua has in his house, just purely to store things costume related. Like, look at this all. Look at the tubs, look at the rainbow bags, look at the racks, look at everything. The mannequins, just for his costume related things. Like, he's taking this shit seriously, and I give him props for that. And Arnold's like, "Oh no, like, I'm probably not going to be able to leave just yet. It's raining, like, ooh." But then Tua doesn't care. Tua's like, "You can just crash here, right? Like, if the rain doesn't let up, you can just stay here." And look, last time Tua offered Arnold that he could crash there, Arnold didn't take it. It was like, "Nah, like, I'm not going to take it." This time, though, Arnold takes it. He goes, "Oh, are you sure? Thank you so much. Like, that'd be great. Like, I would love to just crash here." So he takes the deal. Boston and Jack are hanging out at Pink's, having a drink, playing some pool. Jack was like, "Hey, how's America?" But like, also, what made you decide to come back to Thailand? Like, so unlike you. And Boston's like, "Oh my God, like it was amazing. Like you could just do whatever you want. You could get laid with whoever you want. Oh, Jack, you'd love it. You can go see Broadway shows all year round." But honestly, Thailand's more comfortable, which is why I came back. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a language barrier as well. I don't know if the character Boston speaks English or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he came back purely just so he could speak in his native language, perhaps. Um, yeah, so still not entirely sure why he 100% came back. Like, there are definitely reasons, like, Jack asked if he'd do photos for the play. He obviously is somehow trying to get back into tours, good graces, and things like that. But are they the only reasons why he came back to Thailand, or is there something deeper that we do not know about? So Boston and Jack are still chatting, but they somehow get to the conversation of Dean because Jack and Dean are not together anymore. But speaking of the devil, though, because Dean rings Jack's phone. Jack reluctantly picks up, like he lets that shit ring for a while, but then is like, "I guess I'll answer it." And Dean is pissed. Dean's like, "Did you change the passcode?" Because remember in the first episode where Dean just somehow magically got inside Jack's apartment and Dean was like, Jack was like, "How'd you get in here?" And Dean's like, "Well, you still use my birthday as your passcode." So, yes, Jack changed the passcode and tells him so. And Dean's like, "Hey, you think that's going to stop me from getting inside?" And basically, Jack's like, "Well, I don't really care, and I'm hanging up because I'm busy." Time for Dean to put his acting skills to good use because just because Jack changed his password is not going to stop Dean from getting into Jack's apartment. So he goes to the front desk with the building manager and is putting on the dramatics, putting on the works, crying, all of that good stuff. "Oh my God, like you need to let me into my man's apartment. I can't reach him. There could be something wrong with him. He could be dead." And like the manager's like, "Yeah, no." But no. But Dean continues to put on the dramatics and it actually works. Like the dramatics to the point where the building manager's like, "Rightio, I'll let you in." So Dean makes it inside the apartment, and after assuring the building manager that everything is okay, you can fuck off now. So he goes inside and he's kind of like cleaning up. Like cabinet doors are open and he closes them shut and he tries to make the bed a little bit. He also finds his wallet, so he takes that back as well because obviously he originally was like, "Well, I left my wallet at your place." And he's kind of, I guess he is semi snooping, but then also cleaning at the same time until he goes to close one drawer and he sees something in that drawer. He sees is a souvenir from the time that Jack spent at rehab, which is a revelation to us all and lets us as the audience know that there was a period of time that Jack was in rehab. But Dean didn't know about this, so it was definitely when they were broken up, not when they were together. Jack comes home after his fun night out with Boston to Dean inside his apartment and is like, "How'd you get in here?" And Dean's like, "Please, I easily got in here," basically. But also, Dean is pissed because Jack didn't tell Dean about the time that he went to rehab. And so they have like a semi little fight about it. But basically, Jack went to rehab because of Dean. That is why. This is the scene where we semi finally find out why Dean and Jack broke up in the first place. I was like, I was waiting for this. I have been waiting for this. I was like, I need to know why Dean and Jack broke up. And I'm pretty 99% sure that this is that scene, unless I read into it wrong. And maybe, like, there could always be more to it. But this is definitely one of the reasons why they broke up. So Dean asks Jack, like, what is this? Because he doesn't, maybe he does know, but he wants to hear Jack say, like, what is this piece of paper? And Jack's like, why do you want to know? And Dean's like, well, I want you to tell me. When did you go to rehab? Why didn't you tell me? Are you an alcoholic? And Jack's like, why do you care? And then Dean's like, how did you let this happen? Why didn't you take care of yourself? Now, this is the interesting thing. I don't think that Jack is an alcoholic. I mean, look, possibly, considering that season 1 of Only Friends had an alcoholic character. Ray was an alcoholic. So they could be doing like just like in season 1, we're going to have an alcoholic character in season 2 as well. But perhaps not, because this is the thing, right? Usually when people are alcoholics and then they finally get themselves help, they're usually basically told that they shouldn't drink ever again. And most recovering alcoholics basically never drink ever again. I have seen Jack drink multiple times throughout these 3 episodes of Only Friends. So I'm not entirely sure if alcohol was the reason he went to rehab. I'm not entirely sure if smoking was the reason he went to rehab as well, because same with alcohol, I have seen Jack smoke multiple times on Only Friends. So I don't think that it was alcohol or smoking. So the 2 things that I personally possibly think may have been the reason he went to rehab for is either DRUGS, but like worse than smoking. Like not, like I'm talking hard stuff. Or SELFHARM. Now, I've spelled these out because I don't really know how YouTube feels about those 2 words being said out loud. Sometimes YouTube will take your video down for words that aren't even swear words, but like they're like very negative words. Anyways, I think that it was possibly either of those 2 things, unless there's a reason that like I don't even know, because those 4 things are reasons that someone could go to rehab for. I don't know if there are other reasons. Maybe there are. I don't know. Anyways, Jack is just basically like, I went to rehab because of you. Obviously, Dean hurt Jack to the point that Jack then went on to either, again, speculating, either DRUGS or SELFHARM, to the point that he needed to go to rehab and receive professional help. Now we get answers, but we are also left with questions, because Dan's like, why didn't you ever tell me about this? And Jack's like, no, don't worry about it. Like, I'm clean now. Like, you didn't need to know. And Dean, again, is like, but isn't what I'm doing now making up for what I did back then? Like, I told you it was just work. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like Jack and Dean are talking to each other as if they know what's going down, but not fully explaining it. So, as myself, the audience, I am still left with questions like, what was just work? You know what I mean? Arnold taking full advantage of crashing the night at Tua's. But Tua did offer. Anyways, Arnold and Tua are sitting together, they're watching a movie, they're having a drink, but they are also snacking. I think they're watching some action-packed movie, because you can definitely hear like gunshots and like action-packed stuff in the background. But then the doorbell rings. And Boston is at the door, which I have no idea how Boston knows where Tua lives. Like, got no idea how he knows that. Anyway, somehow Boston knows where Tua lives and lets him inside, because I don't think he wants to be cruel and just tell him to, go away. So lets Boston inside. He inserts himself into the situation, wants to watch the movie, wants to hang out, wants to see Tua. And I think he's possibly trying to get under Tua's skin a little bit. Because he starts chatting with Arnold and is like, hey, like, you're hot. I take photos of hot people. I like take modeling photos. Like, you should model for me. And Arnold is like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in. Count me in. Like, I'm down. You want to take photos? I'm down. But you can clearly see in this scene that Tua looks a little uncomfortable. And what I love about Arnold is that Arnold notices. He notices as much as he's like enjoying his chat with Boston and like, hell yeah, I'll model for you. He notices. Rome and Raffi are at that quote unquote rich assholes party that Rome is DJing at, proving that no, he is not a host, he is just a DJ. But you can tell that there are hosts at this party. So Rome and Raffi are chatting, and Raffi, it's just making small talk for now, like, oh, like, you DJing here, like, do you one day want to get so big that you can play at famous clubs and stuff? And Rome's like, no, I dream bigger than clubs. I want to play at festivals. My dream is to play at Tomorrowland. And Raffi's like, oh yeah, you do dream big. Well, hopefully it works out for you. And then he sees Bass and one of Bass' mates like walk into the party and they're chatting and stuff. And Raffi notices and tells Rome, I'm going to take a quick break for a smoke. But let's be real, Raffi wants to go over there and talk to Bass. True to Raffi's word, he does have a break for a smoke. But he also goes and talks to Bass, who is also having a smoke. Again, I feel like we should be having a smoke counter as well as having a kiss counter. Sort of vibes. Anyways, so this is what I mean. Raffi's got an angle. Raffi's got a plan up his sleeve because Raffi is just as toxic and poison as Dean. Like, a lot of people think that Dean is like the worst one on the show. When I got to the end of this episode, Raffi was just as bad as Dean. Just as bad and diabolical. Because Raffi thinks that James Dean is Dean. And let's be real, us as an audience, yeah, we think that too. But we're not entirely sure yet. Raffi is not entirely sure yet. But Bass is going to prove it all for us. So Raffi is chatting with Bass and he's pretending like, oh, like, what would one have to do if they were interested in being a host? Like, pretending that, like, oh my God, like, it just looks so cool. And Bass is like, hey, you want to be a host? Like, I can make you a host. You can start tonight. Add my contact so that, we can chat and I can get you work and blah, blah, blah. And Raffi's like, oh yeah, cool, awesome. I just want to know though, would I get the same rate as James Dean? And that just makes Bass stop in his tracks. Like, huh? And he's like, so what, you mates or something? And Raffi's like, yeah, we're mates. But I also just want to make sure that the James Dean that I'm thinking of is the same James Dean that you're thinking of. Do you have a photo? Like, I would really like to see a photo. And Bass is like, yeah, all right. So he brings up a photo. We don't see it just yet. And I think, oh yeah, the camera people are doing that on purpose because they want to build anticipation. But we do see a look on Raffi's face where it's like, okay. Like, he got his answers. Someone calls Bass over, like, hey, Bass, come over here. And Bass is like, yeah, all right. And so Raffi takes the phone so that he can add Bass as a contact. But he also sends that picture to himself. Gather around, everyone. It is time for the first read through of Romeo and Romeo. Literally anyone who is anyone in this play is in this room right now to go over the first read through. Now, Raffi takes this prime opportunity to send that photo, which you find out it's actually a video, not a photo, it's a video, to send that video anonymously to every single person sitting in this room right now. So all of their phones go off. Jack tries to be like, hey, like, put your phones away. Like, come on. Like, I know we're all addicted to our phones, but this won't take long. But everyone is looking at their phones and watching that video, including some of the real main characters like Tua and Timmy and stuff like that. So Tua sees the video, notices, shows Dean the video, And Dean's facial expression is like angry, pissed, and like, how the fuck did this get out? Let's be real, it's answering all our questions. Timmy turns to Jack and is like, yeah, I think we need to end the read through today. Like, no read through. And Jack's like, oh my god, like, what is on this fucking phone where I have to stop my read through for my play? But Jack watches the video, and this is when we finally get to see the video as well, and our thoughts are correct. James Dean is Dean. You can see Dean in the pool at that party, being a host, doing like whatever. He's having a wine and he's like naked. It's like a thing. And so basically, it makes Jack go, oh yeah, okay, fuck the read through. So Timmy stands up and is like, all right, thanks everyone, you're free to go. That's it for today. Like, nah, like, come back next time. Everybody leaves the room except for Jack, Dean, Timmy, and Tua. They are the ones that stay because they are the ones that want to like talk about this and stuff like that. This is the only screen grab I could get because the other ones are quite blurry because Dean's first thought is to blame Jack. Like, Jack, did you send this out? Did you do this? And Jack and Dean get into a little bit of a like shoving each other not fist fight, but like they're shoving each other. It's getting physical because Dean is like, did you send this out? How fucking dare you? And Jack's like, it wasn't me. Like, I swear on my life, it wasn't me. And it's to the point where Timmy's like, Dean, chill out. Like, stop blaming Jack and let's find out who actually sent that video around. Arnold and Tua are talking because when Timmy dismissed everybody from the read through, Tua, like, quickly to Arnold was like, can you wait outside? Like, I'll come talk to you after. Because Arnold and Tua are, like, separately friends. Because obviously Tua has that friend group of Dean, Jack, Timmy, of course. But Arnold's not in that. So he didn't stay. He left. Anyways, this is when they're chatting and Arnold and Tua are just like, small talk a little bit. And Arnold does a really funny, like, he's like, I'm going to be a TikToker. And does a little dance or whatever, tries to get Tua to dance with him. But the Tua's like, no, I'd rather just sit and watch you because, like, you're the dance major. And things like that. And then they get a little serious because Tua's like, can I ask you something? Arnold is like, can I ask you something? And Tua's like, yeah, go for it. And Arnold's like, what's going on with you in Boston? I noticed, like, when he was over the other night, like, I could tell that you were uncomfortable. I could tell that he was making you uncomfortable. So what's the deal? And it's when Tua finally admits, like, hey, remember when we were talking about our first kisses? And I said that I kissed some asshole last year and, like, and Arnold's like, yeah, and Tua's like, so that was Boston. And I love it because Arnold immediately is like, okay, so we hate Boston. And I just think that that is the best thing ever. He doesn't say it in those words, but he's basically like, if he ever makes you uncomfortable, like, just like tell me, like, I'm going to be your knight in shining armor when it comes to Boston. And this is why I love Tua. Like, it's word for word a little bit because Arnold crouched down and like was holding Tua's face in his hands and was like, because you are so lovely. And I was like, you want to talk lovely, Arnold? You're lovely. Rome knows. Rome knows. Okay? Raffi is having a cigarette, but it is rudely interrupted by Rome, who's like, so you were the one that leaked the video about Dean. Now, Rome knows because Rome took Raffi to that party with that guy Bass who runs the hosting business. And Rome, he doesn't know how, but he knows it was Raffi. And Raffi, let's be real, he confesses, but he doesn't like actually, like when you confess but you use vague terms, like he's beating around the bush, but like Rome knows. Like, it's like, oh, like, you didn't explicitly say that you did it, but I know you did it though. You're confessing without confessing, basically. This is what I mean when I said earlier that by the end of this episode, Raffi is just as bad as Dean because he was like, oh, People that choose this kind of work need to know that their digital footprint follows them their entire lifetime. Like, trying to make it out that it's Dean's fault when it is clearly not Dean's fault. Rome is kind of saddened by this because it's like, oh, you're not who I thought you were. You're actually a really terrible person. And so, because word for word is kind of like, oh, so that's how you want to play it. Rightio, I've been a fool this whole time. You're never getting anything from me again. And Raffi, just to rub it in, goes, are you done? Because if so, I'm going to go talk to Jack. He could use some comfort right now. Because remembering that Raffi still has a big fat crush on Jack. And as much of a terrible person that Dean himself can be sometimes, I actually felt really sorry for him here because no one should be judged for the kind of work that they do, especially if they're just doing it because they're desperate to survive, which I'm pretty sure that this was Dean's situation right here. He's looking at a little photo, a little family photo with his mother and sister. And he just wanted some alone time, so he's sitting in this theatre alone until Jack joins him, and Dean's like, I just wanted to be alone. Like, I don't want to fight right now. And Dean's like, no. And Jack's like, no, it's fine. I'm not here to fight. Chill out. And they actually have a pretty good discussion. Now, this is truly all questions answered why Jack and Dean broke up. So we find out that, yes, Dean is James Dean. He was a host. He was taking jobs from that Bass guy. And Dean, sorry, I keep doing this. Jack is like, look, it's okay. Like, I'm not mad that you're a host. I'm a little mad that you said that you were going to stop and then, like, you continued to take jobs and not tell me about it, of course. But if I chose you, it means that I accepted that part of you. And Dean's like, well, if you accepted that, then why'd you break up with me? And Jack's like, I was really sad that you were asking for help from somebody else instead of coming to me for help. Dean again tries to defend himself and is like, well, I didn't want to like feel a burdenish, like I didn't want to feel like I was a burden. But then Jack's like, well, you know, when people are in love, they don't see their partners as burdens. Honestly, Jack would be like the best boyfriend because he sits there and he goes, you're not okay. Because Dean tries to be like, I'm fine. And Jack's like, no, you're not. You're just pretending you are. And then grabs his hand and continues and goes, right now, you're here with me. And you can just feel whatever you need to feel. I won't judge. We then proceed to have like a crying kiss session. And I think they get back together. I could be wrong. There is like a preview for the following week's episode. There's always a preview for the following week's episode. But someone says that they're back together, or they themselves claim that they're back together, I think. And I think this is it. Anyways, Jack and Dean, they kiss. Just for a little bit, because then Dean tucks his head on Jack's shoulder and cries for a bit, but then that stops and they kiss again. Raffi was trying to find Jack because remember he was telling Rome that like, I'm going to go and find Jack because maybe he needs some comfort right now. Yeah, Raffi's regretting that now because he walks in on Jack and Dean kissing. And that is the end of the episode. Radio, time for thoughts, feelings, and or predictions. Also talking about some of the predictions I may have had last episode. Finally got what I had been really wanting this whole time, which is finding out why Dean and Jack broke up. Now, I'm going to try and just summarize it again in a simpler term for you, because I feel like you had two scenes and some people might be confused. So, I am 99% sure. So, they broke up because Dean was a host, but I think because he was telling Jack that he was going to stop being a host, but then continued to be a host behind Jack's back, like told Jack he'd stop being a host, but then continued to be a host. And then Jack found out and was like really pissed off that Dean lied to him and then broke up with him. I'm pretty sure that's what all of that clusterfuck I tried to explain earlier can be simplified down to. Because obviously there was the scene in Jack's apartment where we got like no answers, and then there was the scene at the end of the episode in the theater where we got our answers finally. Because I really would like, I remember watching like that first and second episode and was like, oh my god, like I need to know why they broke up. Like I so need to know. Now we know. Now we know. And it's so cute because that's also sort of what's brought them back together, kind of. Like, maybe in a weird way, the video of Dean being a host getting leaked would weirdly be one of the best things to ever happen to him, because let's just think about it, ladies. If that video hadn't been released, would it have brought Dean and Jack back together? Would they have gotten back together? I don't know, but I also kind of don't think so. Like, let's be real, I don't think so. Other thoughts and feelings I may have had. So, Rome and Raffi. A lot happened with Rome and Raffi this episode. Actually, you know what? A lot happened with all of our couples, because a lot happened with Tua and Arnold as well, especially with the introduction of Boston, which I'll get to that because I'm going to do Rome and Raffi first because I just mentioned them. Yeah. Raffi, oh my god, I don't know who's worse, Raffi or Dean. I do not know who is worse. Because what Raffi did this episode, diabolical. Oh my god. Like, he heard James Dean come out of Bass's mouth once, put two and two together, kind of assumed that that was Dean, wanted to infiltrate this party just so that he could get that video of Dean, just so that he could spread that video wide about Dean, just so that he could ruin Dean's reputation a little bit, because Raffi is a petty little bitch. And I still think he's a little pissed off that he didn't get the main lead Romeo role. And the sad thing is I think he used Rome to do it, acting like he was semi-interested, giving Rome a hand in the pool, things like that. Like, Rome was actually finally starting to think that maybe, Raffi was losing his crush for Jack and hopefully starting to have some feelings for Rome back. But no, because at the end of the episode, Rome's like, oh, so you never even liked me at all. And what was that, like a pity handy? Like, was it a pity handy? I don't know. But like I felt like Dean and Rome, they're kind of semi going through it. I felt for Rome and felt for Dean this episode. I never thought that I would be saying that I feel for Dean. Actually, another thing that I want to talk about, because I mentioned this last episode, but then I've seen some things online that maybe I should change my mind. Because in the second episode, there were some parts of the episode where I was like, is Dean being nice? Is Dean doing this out of the goodness of his own heart? When he was like trying to help Tua get with Arnold and stuff. But I've seen some videos, like other people's reactions and stuff, where they were like, oh, Dean just has to insert himself into everyone's business, and he was kind of forcing Tua to drink a blah, blah, blah. And like, Dean was not being nice. And I was like, I could have read that wrong. Look, but maybe we also just have different opinions, because I thought he was being nice. And he didn't force Tua to drink. He heavily encouraged, and he did try and like bring the cup to Tua's lips. But Tua drank of his own free will. He drank of his own fucking free will. So, I don't know. Some people were like, oh yeah, Dean was not nice. And I'm like, I mean, I thought that he was. I thought he was. Like, Tua and Dean are friends. And especially in this episode, like Dean trying to get Jack to get rid of Boston, all because he knows about the backstory with Tua. I thought that was him being pretty fucking nice. Like, look, as much as Dean is a menace and he's done some terrible stuff and things like that, I do believe that he truly values his friendship with Tua. I want to stand by that. Innocent until proven guilty, because Dean hasn't done anything to hurt Tua as of yet. And until he possibly does, I am going to think that Dean and Tua have a lovely friendship together, okay? I'm allowed to think that, alright? Because that's what I've been seeing on camera so far, alright? Like, read between the lines. Dude, what lines? Okay? Innocent until proven guilty. Tua and Arnold. I loved Arnold this episode as well. Because Boston came back. Now, obviously, Arnold at first was like, oh, Boston seems cool because he doesn't know. But the second Tua told Arnold what was really going on, I love how Arnold was like, yep, all right, cool, all right, I've got your back. Like, you can come to me if you ever need help. Like, I'll be here for you. Like, I just love Arnold so much. I do. I love him. He's so cute. And realistically, if you were going to be with anyone, you'd want to be with Arnold, okay? Because he's just so lovely and would treat you like royalty. Not that Jack and Rome wouldn't, because like Jack would also be an awesome boyfriend. Rome would also be an awesome boyfriend. But like Arnold, like come on, it's Arnold, and I love the man. But yes, so I just love Arnold. The only character I think I realistically dislike is Boston. And I didn't really like Boston that much in season one either. Like he was kind of like icky to me. Not that okay. I say icky, not in like a he gives me the ick. That's not what I mean by that. I mean like creepy icky. Maybe I so should have just used the word creepy. I don't know. To me, Boston's creepy. I don't know why. But even when I was watching season one, I was like, ew, Boston is like creepy. I don't people may not agree with me. I don't know. Like maybe there are Boston lovers out there, but I'm not a Boston lover. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. And he's just like coming onto tour. Like, I'm sorry, you nailed and bailed on tour. And then you come back into his life and you're just like expecting that he'll be fine with it. Because he's here and he's like, why can't we just let the past be the past? Like, can you just let it go and like, can we fuck again? Like, I'm sorry. No. And you just expect Tua to be okay with that? What is wrong with you? Again, Boston is creepy. I think he's hella creepy. Like, let me know if you agree with me or not in the comments. I think that Boston is hella creepy. He creeps me out. I don't like Boston. Like, I do not like it. I want him to, like, get off my screen. I thought he had what's coming to him at the end of season one. And, like, yeah, he did. But, like, look, I don't know. Like, I get why they brought Boston back. Like, they brought him back for the drama. I think Boston this season is meant to be like the Boeing of last season. Like, I get it. I'm here to fuck shit up. Like, I get it. But just on a personal level, I so wish they'd brought somebody else back. Like, why couldn't we have brought Ray back? Like, why? You know what they so could have done? You know what they so could have done? They so could have done like Jack was an alcoholic and Ray and Jack were friends and were drinking buddies together, but then they went to rehab together, perhaps, or something along those lines. That could have been a plot line they'd done. Like, that could have been a thing, and then they could have brought Ray back instead, but that's just purely self-indulgent because Ray was my favourite character from season one. So that's just purely self-indulgent because Boston was my least favourite character from season one. Actually, either him or Boeing. Boeing was pretty bad. Either him or Boeing I didn't like. Anyways, so I don't like Boston. And I love Tua, and Tua does not deserve this. I'm sorry, Tua does not deserve this, and it's pissing me off because Boston, can you just go away? Can you just like go back to New York? Like, why'd you come back? I need to know. Because, like, obviously he has intentions of getting back with Tua, but surely that's not the only reason why. Like, I feel like there's something brewing with Boston. He's not telling us all of the information. He's keeping his cards close, and I don't like that. I do not. No, 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 no. Show those cards. Show those cards or go back to New York. In fact, just go back to New York anyway. Um, this is so getting like me just like ill Boston, but like ill Boston. I don't like him. This video, these videos just end up getting longer and longer. The first episode's recap, I swear to God, only went for 40 minutes, and now I've already been filming for like an hour. Like, this has just been going on and going on and going on and going on, but here we are. Do I have anything else to say? I wonder if we're going to see Bass again. I wonder if we are ever going to see Bass again. I would be curious if we're ever seeing him again. I would be very curious for a Bass and Dean scene. For like Bass to run into James Dean and like something goes on, I would be interested in that. As of now, I don't really have any questions. I feel like quite a lot of my questions from episodes 1 and 2 got answered in this episode. Predictions? I mean, I did kind of know at some point that Jack and Dean was surely going to have to get back together. And I think, if I am correct from what I saw in the preview of episode 4, yeah, they're back together. Like, they're back together. I think there are obvious predictions, like Tua and Arnold surely have to get together at some point, right? Because just go in, it's pairing, it's BL at heart, like, you know what I mean? Granted, obviously it's only friends and anything could happen, but like, come on, surely, right? And same with, Roman Raffi, because that's an boom, like, surely, like, I think, you know what though, here's a prediction, right? This is a prediction, which I don't know, but like I'm gonna try something here. Because Raffi walked in on Jack and Dean kissing, and I wonder if that completely shattered his crush for Jack. I don't know, maybe he's like still fucking delusional. Like, I don't care that he's kissing Dean, like, I still love him. Or did that shatter his crush on Jack completely? And then maybe he goes to Rome for comfort, but then, like, Rome at first is like, ill gross, go away, because he's realized that Raffi's a bit of a terrible person. But then, obviously, like, I'm going to predict that Rome and Raffi somehow get back to their little situation shit, because, duh. Like, I just think that, like, I think Rome, unfortunately, is going to fall for it again, because I think that Rome's going to be like, Raffi seems to be legit, and like maybe he's somewhat legit, but then maybe he won't be like fully ready to commit legit. It might be giving somewhat Boston to some degree, like, Boston and Nick, like their situation, back from season 1. So maybe that's what's going on with Rome and Raffi. I could be wrong, but like, yeah. And that's yeah. I would be interested in more Rome and Dean scenes together. I would be interested in that. I would also be interested in Tua and Raffi scenes. Like, I feel like if you want to talk some like pairings that we've not really seen together all that much, like Tua and Raffi, I would be very interested what a scene like that would be, because I feel like Tua and Raffi don't really have much to do with each other, but I would be interested in them having a conversation. And how would that go? Radios, I'm going to end this here because I've been talking for like so long. I've been recording for like an hour, so I need to end this, okay? Right, because I could just go on. I could go on, but you're going to have to wait until next week when I do my deep dive for episode 4. Radios. So that is it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I love discussing BL, so I would heavily enjoy discussing Only Friends with you all. Alrighties, let me know your thoughts, feelings, and predictions. Radio, I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.